Good morning, happy travelers. Welcome to Santa Monica. We are here on a foggy November morning, and I'll tell you why. Today, we are taking to the road once more. We are driving the length of Route 66 through California.
The start or end, depending on how you look at it, of Route 66 is the Santa Monica Pier.
We're purists, so we thought we would start where the actual sign is. Unfortunately, Route 66 through Los Angeles is surface streets, so that's probably going to take us the majority of the day, and then we're going to continue east until we get to the Arizona border.
Okay, before we get started on this road trip, I just wanted to say a little bit about COVID safety. So we are traveling right now, but we are doing our absolute best to just be as safe as possible. We're using masks as much as we can. We frequently get tested for COVID before all of our trips, so we don't have any symptoms, we feel healthy, and we're gonna try to stay away from people and sanitize as much as possible during this trip. Let's get on the road.
It's really not necessary to actually drive Route 66 through Los Angeles, but I am a smidge OCD and I really like to do things from start to finish, so it would really bug me if we skipped a bunch of sections. So I'm forcing Kevin to go through all of the surface streets, which has been pretty tedious so far, but we're finally getting toward the east end of LA, so we're going to be out of it pretty soon and into the desert.
Most of this area has already been updated and built up, but what I really wanted to see on this trip was kind of the old motels and old diners and old abandoned buildings that used to be along the road.
I want to see that stuff too, but I also want to say I've driven the entire way on Route 66 through California.
She wants the bragging rights.
That's where my OCD kicks in.
We've made our way to Rancho Cucamonga, and we pulled off at the historic Cucamonga service station. It's an old-time gas station that they've kind of restored and made it look like it did back in the day.
We finally made it to one of the most iconic spots on Route 66 in California. It is in San Bernardino and it is called the Wigwam Motel, where you can sleep in a teepee. These are motel rooms that are shaped and designed like teepees. So we do recognize that this is not exactly the most culturally sensitive of landmarks. However, it is still part of Americana history, so we did want to stop and see it.
There's also one in Arizona, I think, that is another Wigwam Motel, but in the movie Cars they used road cones instead of teepees. Just a little fact for you there.
Disney Pixar knowledge is...
So this next stop is technically just a little bit off Route 66, but we thought it was cool enough to come and check out. So this is the original McDonald's. There's a museum here now and there's free tours available, so you can stop in and learn a little bit about McDonald's culture and see where it all started.
So we just popped into the inside for a quick minute, and it has been converted into a museum, which is privately owned, and everything in there is donated. It has like toys from McDonald's around the world and all kinds of different props from the movie The Founder with Michael Keaton that came out a few years ago, and all kinds of McDonald's memorabilia, which is pretty cool. No coffee though, Still on the hunt for some caffeine.
Yeah, it's not an operating McDonald's anymore, unfortunately. But it's pretty cool to just kind of see the original spot that it all started. And around the back of the building, there's a bunch of old vehicles and different things that they've kind of made and collected with the museum. So that's kind of cool to see as well. So we have made our way to Arroyo Grande. There is a pretty cool old gas station. It's called the Mohawk gas station. It's definitely worth a stop if you're gonna drive Route 66. It's not in operation anymore, but it kind of just gives an example of how these old service stations operated and what they kind of look like today.
We came across another quirky roadside attraction on Route 66 in the California desert. This is just outside of Victorville. It's called the Elmer's Bottle Tree Ranch. And basically it's an art installation with like hundreds of these bottle trees and different art pieces. I guess it was made by an old man named Elmer. He has since passed away, but you can still come here for free. It's just for donations if you'd like to leave something. And I think it's open from dawn until dusk. So we're walking around and right now there's nobody here. Otherwise we have these little guys. It's pretty cool. It's actually a lot cooler than I thought it was gonna be. So we're gonna explore a little bit and maybe take a couple photos and see what we can see. Pulled over to take a couple photos because the California desert's showing off, guys.
Good morning. So originally we were going to drive all the way straight through Route 66 in one day, but that didn't really go according to plan. It ended up getting dark and we had only got to Barstow, so we spent the night there last night.
As per typical awkward tourist fashion, we took a lot more time to do the stuff that we wanted to do, so we didn't get quite as far. We're good. We're gonna thoroughly explore the rest of Route 66 from Barstow east today.
The main street area of Barstow was really cool. There was lots of old motels with really cool signs, and that's kind of what I think of when I think of nostalgic Route 66 is little towns like the city center of Barstow.
Definitely run down. It's not shiny and touristy in Barstow. Yeah, we've been to places where Route 66 is very a touristy thing, but not in Barstow. It's very authentic.
If anyone doesn't really know the story of Route 66, it used to be the main way that you would get from Chicago to Los Angeles. In the 1970s, they built the interstate highway, and that bypassed most of the towns. Pretty much overnight, tourism just dropped off in all these places, and a lot of these little towns just fell into disrepair.
What happened was the freeway bypassed all the businesses and things, so people didn't stop anymore. They didn't, eat at the restaurants or stay at the motels. And if you've ever seen the Disney Pixar movie Cars, that's pretty much the story of Route 66. But in some places, they've really embraced the Route 66 stuff, so there's...
Yeah, there's a little bit of tourism that's kind of made its way back, but outside of Barstow, it's really gonna get pretty desolate, so this is a good example of how much this place has been left behind.
Well, let's see more of it. What do you think?
Let's do it. We pulled over just outside of Newberry Springs by the Baghdad Cafe, mainly because I saw this motel sign. The motel's already gone, but the sign itself is really cool, so we had to stop and check that out.
In case you don't know this, Kevin has a thing for abandoned and decaying, like ruined places. I think they're cool, but he seeks them out, and he has a separate YouTube channel about his abandoned exploration, which we will link in the description below, so you guys can go check that out if, like him, you are fascinated by abandoned places. Good thing we saw that stop.
Why do I feel like we're gonna be here for a while?
Here in Ludlow, there are quite a few abandoned buildings, so we pulled over to the side of the road, and luckily they're all in one spot, so Kevin can go check them all out in one go. But I usually just hang out. He likes this stuff more than I do, so kind of just chilling, which is fine.
So after leaving the town of Ludlow, Route 66 breaks away from Highway 40 and heads further into the desert. So a lot of the towns on the map of this section of Route 66 aren't even there anymore. There's not even any buildings or any remnants of buildings. They've just been completely wiped clean. So the first town that you really come to is the town of Amboy. We visited here a couple years ago, and it's the site of an old motel. The really famous Roy's sign is here, and we just pulled into the town, and it looks like they're filming some sort of movie here or TV show right now. So I don't really know how much we're gonna be able to explore. Also, they've redone the sign since the last time we've been here too. It used to be kind of old and the paint was chipping off and everything, and now it has been repainted and it looks very new. So it's changed quite a bit in just the year and a half or so since we've been here last.
He hates that it's new.
I do. I liked it a lot better when it was
It's still
old.
a cool sign. It just was more, it had more character before. But trying to see if I can spot any actors that I recognize, but it's definitely a TV show or a movie or something that they're filming over here.
Yeah.
If you live in California long enough, you get to know what that looks like after a while.
Absolutely. So I think we're going to poke around here a little bit before we continue on the road.
Just outside of Amboy, unfortunately, Route 66 is closed. So we have to take a little bit of a detour. It's rerouting us up to the freeway. So we're gonna have to skip a pretty good chunk of the road, and then we'll almost be to our destination for tonight. So this might be the last of our Route 66 driving for today. We'll see if we can pick up a little. We're not 100% sure where the closure ends, so it's always an adventure. We're just going wherever the wind takes us.
I have a feeling that if you try to drive the whole Route 66 in its entirety, you're gonna hit a lot of sections that are closed.
Yes, so you just have to be flexible, and with as much traveling as we've done, we know that that is very important.
Definitely. So we've managed to get back on Route 66 in the town of Fenner, and we have made our way to Goff's, an old railroad outpost town that is mostly abandoned now.
The last town before Arizona on Route 66 is Needles. Finally made it. We were supposed to make it last night, but it took us 2 days. But that's okay, it was just more time for exploration. Tonight we're actually staying in Laughlin, Nevada, which is a little bit north of here, because we're gonna do a little bit of exploring in the Nevada desert. So we'll be making videos of that. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and the thumbs up and the notification bell so you don't miss those videos. We're pretty tired now, so I think we're going to go check into our little casino hotel on the river and probably pass out. I'm pretty pooped. So thanks so much for watching, guys. We appreciate it so much. This is The Awkward Tourist. Peace out. We finally made it to...
Turn the car off. There you go.
We finally made it to one of the most... Santa Monica Pier is definitely one of the best stops on the California coast. Probably not I just put it in my little bank for later. I said, oh, I went to see that abandoned building, so you have to come to whatever.
Disneyland.
Yeah.